Uh-oh, energy levels.
Yep. See, that's
God.
the problem.
You
That's
needed
the
a
problem.
coffee, man.
I had a coffee.
I'm all out of coffee, but I do have some caffeine pills if you need them.
No, I'm good. Thank you. Hey, welcome to episode 70 of Front Seat Gamer. I'm Nick. I'm here with Severn
Hello, Nick.
and Blake.
Hey.
First time in a while that we haven't had a guest on.
Yeah, is it?
Like 2 episodes. I think. 3?
I think it's only 2.
1?
Yeah, I think we were, it was the original crew before Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, man, I'm starting to... This is dangerous because I'm starting to think of Ryan as not a guest. He's just part of the podcast.
Is he the new host? Am I being replaced?
You might, yeah.
How you guys going?
Yeah, good.
Doing well, thanks, Nick. How you
Good.
doing?
I'm all right. You guys been playing much? I've been playing some games.
I've been playing stuff. I've been kind of absent in the last couple episodes. I've
And yet present at the same time.
Wait,
Yeah.
you been?
You've been sitting there just mentally absent.
guys, I've upgraded to. I'm a part of the 4K revolution. I've made the transition.
Whoa.
Okay, so
Actually, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But I haven't talked about it.
You got a nice fancy TV?
Got a glorious TV.
Okay.
Did you get a curved TV?
No,
Oh, what?
no. But it's
That's the next revolution.
It's a 4K HDR thing. It's the first TV I've actually spent decent money on,
Okay.
and it can actually look good.
Dude, do you want to say how much? Because like I've been looking at TVs as well, and they can still get up there.
2,500.
Okay, that's not bad.
It's a for those interested. It's a Sony X900E, and it's fantastic. If you love HDR,
How many inches?
50.
That's big. That's a big TV.
Yeah.
Mm.
Is that OLED?
No, it isn't.
Okay. What's the thing with OLED? Because all I see on the sites I was looking at is that you got your standard TVs that are like, well, standard is now 4K HD, like, and HDR and everything.
Yeah.
And then you'll see one that's OLED as well as that, and it's like $2,000 more expensive.
Yeah, OLED's the screen technology that can actually turn off your pixel. So the black values on images are completely black. Like the pixel isn't even lit, whereas LEDs are.
Yeah.
The thing is, LEDs are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
They're fast.
That's what I'm wondering about. What is the difference actually visible for an average person?
I don't think OLED is worth it right now.
Yeah. Worth the extra $2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LED is good because of it can be quite responsive. You can get up to like 120 hertz. The HDR brightness is quite high.
Yeah.
I don't think OLED goes crazy high unless you're willing to pay like $10,000. And yeah, like HDR's sweet on an LED TV.
It is still crazy that even though like TVs now are just so like they're quite affordable to get something insanely good.
Yeah.
But still, if you're willing to pay $10,000,
Yeah.
you can still get something even
Yeah,
crazier.
there are those TVs out there.
I'm
There are
curious.
cool looking TVs.
What are you playing on your fancy new TV?
PC game. I connected my computer to it.
Yeah.
That
seems reasonable to me.
I was playing what is it, Quantum Break on it.
Okay.
All right.
And I finished that.
Yep.
That looks really good with all the bells and whistles on it.
Have you got an Xbox?
No, but I've got a 1080 Ti graphics card, which is pretty awesome. The PlayStation has a whole bunch of HDR games as well.
Have you played some Path of Exile in 4K?
Not yet. No, I'm looking for a reason to get into it.
What do you mean? What do you mean you're looking for a reason?
As in, like, I want my mates to like get in on it too, but
Okay.
a lot of them aren't into the PC or Xbox.
Okay.
Dude, I have the opposite problem. Like my mates are really into like Path of Exile.
Oh,
like,
yeah?
Yeah, I can't play it. I get too much criticism while I'm playing.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
There is that.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah. There's always a bit of like looking for flaws.
It's just
looking
like, oh,
for-
you made this area, did you? Let's spend way longer than we should in this, like dissecting every little inch.
Yep, and you're like, shit, I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, that's it. I shouldn't have said it.
So go ahead.
So I've been looking for some sweet HDR content.
Yeah.
And there's a
What have you
website. There's a website called 4kmedia.org.
Okay. It's
And
.org. That's good.
And it's full of like raw clips of, you know how you go into like an electronic store and they have these display things on?
It's stock footage for displaying.
Yeah.
It's so good.
You got like
crisp.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh man. So
You got like
you
slow pans over landscapes and like some birds.
a hummingbird
like,
drinking out of a flower.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, I was
like-
watching glass blowers.
Oh man.
Actually, that one would be pretty good.
Very
Oh
cool,
man. There's a channel I like to watch sometimes on YouTube. It's like a Montreal. As far as I can tell, it's like like baby documentarian channel. Like it's like a small documentary channel.
Okay.
But the
Not a
documentary-
document for baby.
The document, well, is in like small, and all the documentaries are like little businesses in Montreal doing their thing, like a candy
Right.
store making
Oh,
some
man.
boiled cake toffee, and
Dude,
or like a glass blower, or like metal workers, or
those like, dude, one of my favorite things, well, not favorite thing, but one thing I see sometimes on like a Facebook post or maybe on YouTube that I end up watching is like either like candy people, either like candy
so
makers,
people made out of candy. Yeah.
or like something to do with like plastic or something, but they've got like these rolls that they just like roll out.
Yeah.
And I think it is candy.
It would be candy.
Yeah, and they roll it out and they fold it over, and it's got like it starts off as two separate colors, and you just watch them sort of like over the amount of times they fold and refold and like re-put through this like
I've seen
flattener
this.
thing that it just all merges into one, and it's like, holy
Yeah.
shit, this is
Some
amazing.
people will get a decoration in there and then start stretching it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, that's exactly what
that
this.
symbol is still like in the center of it.
Yeah, like they'll have, I'll love heart and like Bobby loves Debbie or whatever, and it's
Yep.
made out of these huge letters, and they like you see them building this giant block of thing, and they roll them out to be like a couple
Yeah.
centimeters in diameter.
Oh man, it's
Beautiful.
crazy.
Yeah, so those are pretty fun to watch.
They always have like really calming soundtracks too.
Yeah.
Especially when the person making it knows what they're doing and knows what they're talking
Yeah.
about, and they're just like, okay, now I'm rolling it out. So
Dude, you know that
this is stretching out the
you know
fibers.
that
and-
triggers like people's ASMR, right?
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't
There's a
think
whole
I have
like
ASMR. But...
I do, but that doesn't like trigger me.
do you really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. That sort of. Oh, sometimes it does. It depends, but like usually, yeah, that sort of thing doesn't do it for me.
Okay.
But
Dare we ask what does?
no.
Hey Blake,
Oh god, my head.
what does a? Yes, go ahead.
4K
Yeah.
HDR content is very hard to find. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
And
you're a bit of an early adopter. It sounds like. But here's the thing, like I remember when like HD, the original HD, like 1080 and 720p's came out, and they were around for a while before they sort of became the mainstream thing. But DVDs seem to really bump them into the mainstream. And then, like, obviously consoles and Blu-rays and stuff pushed that even further.
yeah,
Right now, there doesn't seem... It feels like the jump from, like, 1080 to 4K is so... It feels small. So I wonder how long it'll be before that becomes the new standard.
yeah, I wonder as well.
And at that point, that's when you'll start seeing, like, 4K media and 4K YouTube videos and all this other stuff. But
Yeah, because games are video they're taking their sweet time.
yeah. I mean... Yeah, we're only now getting console support for 4K, really, right?
Yeah.
So,
Wasn't there some weird like controversy sort of with PlayStation's 4K thing? Like it wasn't true 4K or something initially,
I don't know about
and that they like when I'm sure when both those like Xbox and PlayStation came out. And everyone was like comparing the stats and stuff. That was one thing that was in like Xbox favor, that it had like native 4K and original PlayStation 4 didn't.
Yeah, I know nothing about this.
yeah, I don't know either.
Sorry.
Well,
Sorry.
I mean,
Citation needed.
neither do I. I just remember.
Tell us more, Blake.
Because I heard that the PS4 Pro supported 4K
Yeah.
natively. And it'd be weird if it didn't.
Yeah, it
You
would
know,
be weird if
they
it didn't.
bring out this 4K console and
Yeah.
it doesn't do it.
I've been playing some Hearthstone, by the way. little
Get
bit.
out.
They've got a new set coming up.
Is Cobalt and Catacombs out yet?
No, a couple weeks I think. And I've been playing some Zelda.
Yep.
Again.
How far through it are you?
I've done one of the 4 Divine Beasts, and I've done probably a little under half of the shrines.
Okay, I have a question. You really love that game, but this is like
So
the
much.
second time you're playing through it.
Yeah.
What is the boring part for you?
Ooh. I think now that I know most of the shrine locations, I sort of make a beeline for those, and so the travel time is a little bit can get a little bit of a drag. And sometimes there's like a puzzle. I know the solution because I've done the solution before. It's just a little time consuming. Like there's one in the Gerudo Desert where there's like 6 statues standing in a circle.
Yeah.
And you have to. They've each got a symbol hidden somewhere on them, and there's a corresponding sphere with a symbol, and like a little pocket that you can put the sphere into. So you have to match the sphere to the statue, basically. But the statues and the figuring out what statue goes with what sphere involves like climbing around all around these statues, and it's a little time consuming, and especially because I've done that puzzle before, but I don't, So there are times like that where it's just like, oh, I know what to do. It just takes a little bit of time, but even then, it's like this is just a joy to play.
What about
So
dialogue?
charming.
Are you just like, yep, I know what you're saying?
I skip basically all the cutscenes, but I read the dialogue text because because it's well written.
Okay.
And it's funny. Like everyone loves Link. Like literally, there are all these women who want to bang Link.
That's what you're
and
reading.
So they're always like,
yep.
I just find that amusing. What a great game.
I've heard more about that game. Ryan and I will occasionally grab a coffee in the morning and just talk about some stuff. And I'm not as sour as I was on it just hearing some of his stories. He was telling me stories, but also kind of acting them out as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? The art style kind of lends itself to this funny animation style.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't knock it. It's a very conscious thing for a developer
play
to
it.
do.
I borrow my Switch at some point and play it.
It's on my list. Like I will get around to it at some point.
You better. It's so good. it's probably my favorite game.
I don't need to play it right now. That's how I
do
feel.
though.
How do you think it would look plugged into Severn's giant crazy TV?
Probably blurry.
No, what?
Well, it doesn't do 4K, right? The thing only does like 1080.
Really?
So, yeah.
What
the
about
Switch is-
what about HDR?
I don't know. What about it?
What about OLED?
Yep. Sure.
It does it?
I don't know.
Whoa.
Oh, one other thing I'll say about LEDs and OLEDs
Yeah.
is that really good LED TVs have a thing called local dimming,
Okay.
where better LED TVs will be able to turn off more sections of that TV.
Whoa.
So, like if it's decent, it
Yep.
can turn off areas and kind of replicate that same thing OLEDs
yeah.
do. So
if
that-
like, half a room or something on screen is dark, it'll just like turn off those pixels or something.
Yeah, it can turn off that entire zone.
Wow.
So that's local dimming, and you want a very high number on that.
Yeah. Dude,
So-
TVs are crazy. Remember when they're just tubes
Yeah.
right there in front?
Yeah, I remember my parents' TV before they upgraded. It was one where you had to turn it on, and I think you had to give it 5 minutes to warm up.
What?
yes.
Yeah, it was like a doosh, like
Oh my
you press the
God.
power button on,
Yeah.
and then you would hear like a
High pitched.
I don't know, like an EMP, and then
So everyone stand back.
there was this bass noise that happened when you press the power button.
Oh.
And it was like
I know exactly
there was
what you're
there was
talking
like wooden finish on this TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandmother had a similar TV, and,
Yeah.
and like I remember you turn it on, and it would be black and white for a little while, and then it would be like you'd start seeing the oranges appear,
wow.
Yeah.
and then you'd start seeing the greens, and like the color slowly fades in,
my
but like
Yeah,
for a while,
this was
it's
being
like
a kid.
super orange. Everything's just orange.
This was like Saturday morning, cartoons were on. You just had to get in, turn the TV on,
Let it warm up.
get breakfast,
Yep.
come back, and maybe it'll be
Yeah.
on.
Wow.
Oh man,
You'd hear everything, but like the picture wasn't
is-
there.
yeah, you'd hear
right
it.
away.
Wow.
You'd hear it behind a high pitched squeal, like the electronic.
I didn't have a squeal. It was just like the picture took a while to fire up.
If your TV had a squeal, email front seat questions
Squealy
at
TV.
gmail.com and say, yeah, subject line squealy TV.
Yep. Hashtag squealy TV.
Let us know about your old TV story.
And we had We had like a pretty decent like TV growing up. Like we didn't have any crazy squealy things, but there was a point where we like our initial TV broke, and then we went through a series of like
bad
TVs,
Oh, man.
and we had one that was so old it had its remote had a cord.
Oh yes,
that went into the
yeah,
TV.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. There was my grandmother's TV had the most interesting control scheme I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
Instead of having like buttons,
Did it have a dial?
Yeah, it was an iPod
It didn't
dial.
have a dial. It had like, I might be misremembering this because I was about 5 years old, but it had like little metal discs that were like I think electrocapacitors or whatever, and so you'd touch the metal disc and they would be labeled with a number.
Yeah.
And just by touching it, it would go to that channel. It's hard to describe.
This sounds like almost touch screen.
But it wasn't. It wasn't.
But not
a
a
touch
screen.
It was like a metal, like a little metal plate.
That also
that was
seems dangerous.
Had like well, it wasn't like it would electrocute you.
But it's picking up. Isn't it picking up some sort of conductive thing and
I don't
being
know.
like, okay, now we
I didn't
activate
make the TV.
I've never heard of a TV like that.
Maybe I'm inventing it.
I don't know.
It was
They
voice
had
controlled.
They
That
had.
was-
You're like,
Yeah.
okay, TV.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say about my TV is that it's got Android, and the first time I turned it on, the Android logo
Oh my god.
was like bouncing around and
Yeah.
doing its thing.
What?
So that was a new thing that I had to get
What's it
used
got?
to.
Has it got marshmallow?
I don't know which version.
Do
But
we
yeah,
need
there
an
are
OS
updates
for our TVs.
There
Is
are
that really?
Dude, it's the future.
for my TV.
Oh,
it's,
man.
it's very
Yeah.
it's very weird.
I
don't know that I love that.
think are you using the smart features of it much?
No.
Because I've always thought that, or maybe it might be different if it's an Android thing, but I always thought like just plugging in Chromecast is the way to go. Because then anything on your phone, you'll be like, your phone is then a remote, and you're just like sending it to the TV.
Yeah, that is cool. I do use my computer with it, so I'm pretty much just up and down volume and switching inputs.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
That's really all I'm doing.
yeah. There's a good phone app called Universal Remote,
Mhm.
which is really it lets your phone act like a mouse.
That's cool.
Yeah. So like we use it when we want to like change what we're watching or like turn the volume up or down or pause or whatever. We can just use our phone.
That's cool.
It's really good. And you can even you can use the volume buttons on your phone to control the Windows volume as opposed to just like
Huh.
yeah. So you can
That's cool.
it just acts like a remote.
Right.
Super
Dude,
good.
like less remotes is fantastic. I go to my parents' place and they have a tray of remotes.
Oh man.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And you have to use them all to just get the TV to work.
Yikes.
Like one's for stereo, one's for like, I don't know, DVD. They've got like,
First, you have to turn on the sound system.
oh
and
man,
then
they
you
got
have
so
to
many
turn
different
on
things.
the thing that routes the
Yeah.
TV to the sound system.
Yeah.
There's like a free view box as well.
Yep. It's too much. And then I'll just show up and be like, all right, Chromecast. Whew.
Yeah.
Watching TV is weird.
Yeah.
Like I don't know very many people that watch
I
TV.
haven't properly watched TV for a long time.
Yeah, me neither.
It
Yeah.
asked me if I wanted to tune TV channels. And I
Oh,
was
right.
like,
You're like, what's that?
No.
Yeah, Netflix.
Just
Yeah.
take this HDMI thing.
You're going through the
Yeah.
tuning channels,
Try,
being like,
where's
where's
the
Netflix? Oh, man.
It's good stuff.
Dude, shit, I remember tuning.
I remember ads.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, they still happen on YouTube.
Yeah, that's true.
I get them all the time.
By
I
the
have
way,
to click past them.
Yeah, I don't have ad block on my Surface for I don't remember why. I turned
You're
it off. for
supporting
some
the
reason.
little guy.
Yeah,
I don't use it either.
but on YouTube at the moment is showing LinkedIn ads. Do you see the LinkedIn ads
No.
I'm getting a Wix one.
I think it changes for, like,
based on
you.
person?
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Well-
I think I might have told you a few weeks ago I had a, like, stomach virus. A bunch of us at work actually had a stomach virus. And
Unrelated.
I heard about this.
Yeah, yeah. And I stayed home, and one day in the morning I just Googled like acid reflux and was like, just to be like, I think I've got that, and then looked up what it was and was like, oh yeah, okay, fine. And then later on that day I was just watching YouTube, and this ad came up for like indigestion medication.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And I was like, this is weird. Why did this come up? And I clearly realized, oh my god, it's because I Googled that thing like 6 hours ago.
Yeah, so they showed you an ad.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why LinkedIn would keep showing up because it's not like I'm looking for a new job or anything. But
You're looking to connect to other professionals.
Oh, hey.
their ad on YouTube it's actually an ad for LinkedIn ads, which is funny. But what's funnier is how bad the ad is.
Right.
It is basically a slideshow presentation with the cheapest sounding stock music I've ever heard.
Sounds like
and it's like
sounds like business to
it's
me.
an ad advertising their advertisement like set department or whatever, and that is just so bad that like if I saw this, I was like, I would never ever use LinkedIn ads.
God,
they clearly don't know how to craft a good ad, and it's on all the time. Anyway,
that's great.
You should check it out. Check out LinkedIn ads.
I keep
hashtag
getting
LinkedIn ads.
now we're just talking about ads again. I keep getting ads for like masterclasses by actors and directors and stuff. A few
trying to break into a new industry. Are you?
Yeah, I don't know why I just assumed everyone's getting it, but like I don't know why I'm like getting.
They know you're a podcaster.
Yeah. Like a few weeks ago, before the Kevin Spacey stuff hit, there was one for like Kevin Spacey teaching a masterclass. And there was one recently I just got with I think it was Ron Howard, that director was like teaching a masterclass. So.
Have you been Googling how to be famous a lot?
Well, I mean all the time, but
all right. Do you guys have some game stuff you want to talk about? Because I've got a story I want to tell.
I've been playing Mini Metro. I shared a link on the Facebook
Mini
page.
Metro.
There's an 80% sale on that thing. It's like $1, and it is fantastic. It's a New Zealand developer.
$1 for a mobile game.
I know.
Oh,
no ads.
Man. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Really great aesthetics. And it's the kind of game that it's just cool to look at.
Yeah, it's a beautiful.
It's so
game.
clean.
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying that right now, and I'm not sure if people have checked it out, but look at a trailer. It's so basic, but you're really enjoyable. I'm liking that game.
How far through have you gotten? Do you know?
Two levels in.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I heard.
I'm up to New York.
You have an expert
right now.
then.
I think we talked about this before, right? I don't think this is a spoiler, but the last level is Auckland City.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Which doesn't have a subway thing, so
no, it does have trains though.
Yeah,
and it has,
but not
buses.
like half the city don't have trains.
Yeah.
To it, like it's got trains only in half the city.
Yeah,
none across the shore.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, so story time.
Well,
no. Okay.
I guess I'll talk a little bit.
Go
like
for it.
I've been playing the DLC of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Ooh.
And like I
What's
like
it
that
called?
game. It's called The Frozen Wilds.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that's my game of the year. Like Horizon.
Whoa.
Like I just really like that.
Better than Zelda?
Yeah.
That's good to hear, man.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What are you liking about it? The DLC.
Dude, well, like the DLC, it's just like an extension to the story. And the thing that really drew me in with Horizon was that the whole world that they built and the weird, robo-apocalypse that ends up being, I don't know, creating this whole new kind of world of robot animals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then the DLC is just, an extension of that, and you find out, like, I don't want to spoil anything about it, but like as you're going through, you kind of understand why there's this corruption and what the corruption is and like what's causing it, and you understand it better than the people that are talking about it, because they're talking about, oh, a demon is taking over these monsters, and you're like, it's not a demon, it's like some crazy AI thing. And yeah.
That's cool, because I remember seeing the concept art book, and they talk about these little factions, these little tribes, like the human factions out there, but I never really got that, like playing the game.
Yeah, they very rarely, like even in the DLC, there's not a lot of that. You sometimes come across like bandits and stuff, but like you do definitely see like this is the Oseram tribe, and this is the Nora. They definitely have a different look and a different different everything.
I didn't realize that was a thing until I saw the concept art book, and I was like,
no, dude.
oh wow, yeah.
Like
okay.
like you do get that feeling, like the Oseram especially are like these. They're kind of like the fantasy equivalent, like their equivalent of dwarfs, because they're just working on an anvil. Like all their buildings are like heavy like iron everywhere, and they're like the tech people that just make like awesome weapons and stuff like that. And then you got the Nora that are like these like
a lot of leathers.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah. And then there's the I can't remember the other the guys that live in the big city.
I've forgotten their names.
Yeah, I can't remember their names, but they're sort of like the upper class. They're like the elves in a way that are just like all their clothes are really like elegant and like feathers.
It's funny how you can break it down to these.
Yeah, you can break it down like that. You know.
Do you feel like they were actually based on those tropes?
I don't think so. I think the thing is that those kind of tropes are just like
they're easily relatable.
Easily relatable. Yeah. I don't think they were like, okay, this is the dwarfs and this is the elves and these are the orcs. Like I don't think there was.
But there were some identifiable.
Yeah, they're just like this tribe is the ones that like make stuff out of iron all the time and like they're hardcore into machines, and this one is more into building a society kind of thing and into trade and all that sort of stuff. And these guys, the frozen wild guys, are like an isolation tribe, so they have hardly any contact with the outside. But you do hear like in the main story, you do hear this tribe mentioned every once in a while.
Yeah,
but it's usually mentioned of like. No one really sees them. No one really interacts with them.
So don't bother looking for them.
So
you're not going to find them until the DLC comes out.
But they've got like, it is actually kind of cool because like the main story, you have a lot of collectibles in this game, and one of the main collectibles is these little carved artifacts, I guess, but they're left by this tribe that's in the DLC.
Yeah,
and their thing to sort of get these artifacts was you have to kind of like navigate a sort of obstacle course around mountains and jumping and climbing and all that sort of stuff. And that was just the thing to get this collectible, and it was just a collectible and it had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But then in the DLC, to get to their main sort of homeland, you have to go through all this like obstacle course stuff. And I was like, it's like really part of their culture is like make shit difficult.
Yeah.
To and then
you gotta earn it.
Yeah, you gotta earn it. Yeah. And then when you're talking to these people, they're very much about you gotta earn it. Like
very
you know, like there's like missions where some of these tribes people have gone to do their sort of like becoming an adult sort of mission, you know, and their whole thing is like, you're an outsider, so they're not actually going to accept your help because it would mean that they're weak. Like they would rather die than accept your help kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
And then when you do help them, you still have to come back and kind of lie that you didn't help.
Jeez. Do they introduce any new monsters or anything?
Yeah, there's quite a few. Like, well, there's 3 that I've seen so far. One, and they're actually really terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's this one that's like a big wolf thing that spits just fire everywhere. Which is
very cool.
That thing, man, it's terrifying. And then there's actually the most terrifying is it's definitely like some kind of giant bear, but like those ones are like quite easy because they're kind of slow. If you can keep your distance, you can beat them like fairly easily. But Jesus, man, the sound effects that they make are fucking terrifying. Like this game has such, and that's another thing. This game always has like really great sound design. Like if you're going through like a forest, you can tell what robots are around by the noises that they make.
That's cool. Do they play around with the whole spitting fire and melted ice? Do they do anything?
No, they haven't done, which is kind of a shame.
Yeah.
Does the ice react at all to?
Not really. The only you might like this, Sav. Like the only reaction I've seen is the
snow.
The snow.
Yeah.
Like, oh man. So she's like, when she's in say like knee high or waist high snow, like it makes a proper real depression that looks like realistic. Like it and the cool thing is like I stood there watching it slowly fill back up with snow, kind of thing. So like, if you circled back in on your, like if you were walking in a circle and you found your tracks again, they would look older, you know, because they've slowly filled up with snow, kind of thing. Like
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's a cool way around the whole idea that you can't keep the depressions.
Yeah. It's great. I don't know what they'd do if it was sand. They'd just be like, I guess the wind blew it away.
Yeah.
Mario has a similar-ish thing. I mean, there's snow in that game that you can like run through and it sort of gets destroyed.
Yeah.
But they also have in like some of the side areas, there's like this layer of cloud that gets blown away when you do things like throw your hat through it.
Oh yeah.
And then it sort of undulates back into itself.
Ah, yeah, that dude.
It's
Stuff
quite
like that is
beautiful
very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing I noticed is that in water, because there's snow, there's like sort of thin ice on top, like ice, like that sort of slushy ice kind of thing on top. Sleet, is that what it is?
Maybe.
That just sort of floats on top.
Sleet's a word, I know.
But it's not. Yeah. Yeah, it sort of floats on top, but is not like hard enough to walk on.
All right.
And like that leaves a path as well. When she's walking through, it like disperses that and leaves a path.
That's cool.
Yeah, I haven't walked around enough to see if it like slowly comes back, but it probably does. Like,
Cool.
yeah,
That's neat.
yeah. But that game, man, is real cool. I really like that game.
Zelda's better though. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. Zelda doesn't have like robot dogs that spit fire at you.
No, there aren't robot dogs that spit fire.
I mean,
at you,
there
but
are plenty of things
robots that spit fire at you.
Yeah, that's true. There are plenty of things that spit fire at you in
Yeah.
Zelda, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually tons of.
Yeah.
And there are dogs. There are wolves, and
Yeah.
there's just technically not. Well, actually, let me think.
Well, there were robots.
There are robots, and there's
there are
lots of
dogs.
fire,
Yeah.
and there are dogs.
Yeah. So it's got all the. It's
got all the elements.
It's got the components.
Yeah.
You just need to put them all
Yeah,
together.
you gotta cook them.
Yeah,
cook them
just gotta-
together. You pick
Yeah.
up your.
Zelda's got cooking.
Yep.
Just put them in a pot.
Exactly.
Boom. Robot dog.
Actually, the DLC comes with this thing where it tracks your footsteps
Yeah.
for up to 200 hours.
What?
So, and then you can play it'll track it on your map.
Yeah.
And then you can like play the tracking of it in like real time and then speed it up, and so you can actually see the path you took through the world over
that's
the number of hours you played.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Um,
I remember just doing that mentally, like looking at the map and being like, okay, I've gone here and here and
Yeah.
here. Because like I was going through areas, I mean, like you would have as well gone through areas before you'd, climbed up the tower and uncovered
Right.
it. So you didn't really have an idea of actually where you were on
Yeah.
the map. Yeah.
yeah. It's so now you can actually track exactly where you were.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. So are you guys ready for story time?
I'm ready,
Yep.
man.
Okay.
Let's settle in.
Okay. So, before I started working as a game designer, and before I started working as like a games journalist, I was freelancing in Australia, and someone at one of the outlets I was freelancing for recommended me for a job writing the booklet for an album of music by Blizzard Entertainment. Have I told you this story
No.
at all
No.
before? Okay, so the album is called Echoes of War. You can Google it and you can see it, and it's a pretty good album. And it wasn't like it was a Blizzard licensed product. It wasn't made by Blizzard.
Right,
What it was
okay.
made by was an Australian orchestra called Eminence,
Mm-hmm.
who had a bit of a YouTube presence back then, and it was run by a guy called Hiroaki Ura. He had a fairly okay reputation online, I think, as far as I could tell.
Fairly okay.
There wasn't anything much to say about him at that point. He was like just sort of he's a good violinist. He was like a soloist for various orchestras or whatever, and he was sort of running this like project where they were gonna make the Eminence Symphony Orchestra was gonna make an album of Blizzard's music, so StarCraft, Warcraft, Diablo. And I was hired to write the booklet for the album and help with the marketing materials and that sort of stuff. And I would have been 19, maybe, at the time.
Okay.
Maybe 18, 19. Maybe just 20. So I was pretty young and pretty inexperienced. And it was meant to be about like a 2-month project. I got to go to the recording sessions, which was like at Fox Studios in Sydney, in this beautiful, like, huge sound stage, and, like full orchestras there playing, and they're recording it in bits and pieces. And I met like the Blizzard composer and all this other stuff, and it was a cool time. Coincidentally, at that point, Diablo 3 hadn't been announced,
Right.
but they recorded the Diablo 3 theme
Whoa.
with that orchestra.
So you got a hot inside scoop.
I did.
Wait, was it
I
even
actually got to
called?
see. I got to see an early cut of the Diablo trailer,
Really?
Diablo 3 trailer with like low poly models and stuff.
Were you just shaking your head? Did you see a rainbow and just like, oh no, not like this?
No, I was like, oh, that's cool. People are going to care about this. I remember I also called one of my contacts at one of the press outlets and said, hey, just FYI, Diablo 3 is definitely coming.
Holy shit! Did you? So
and
no contracts.
Jeez, man. So you just looked at that NDA and was like, I don't care about this.
I wasn't part of the NDA. I wasn't like none of this was like But at that point, they are outlets tend to not want to ruin their relationships with developers by blowing up their spot.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't do anything with that information. Also, I couldn't like hand over the copy of the trailer or anything. That felt bad. Yeah. Anyway,
no video phones at the time either.
Right. So the music was coming along. There were some early warning signs while I was on this project that like maybe this was not a great project to be working on.
Oh man.
But like
what were the signs?
Well, okay. So early on, I was invited to the hero's house for like a meeting. He always wanted to have meetings. All the time, so many meetings, and
these are productive. So I hear.
No.
No, yeah, that was a joke.
Yeah.
They're meetings to organize the next meeting, kind of.
Yeah, sort of. And he lived in like a place that was kind of far away from where I was living at the time.
Yeah,
and it was a pain to get to. And I remember, I didn't know something about a Blizzard game, and he thought it was unprofessional of me to not know this thing or something like that. And then I remember distinctly at some point we were eating dinner. He got like some Japanese food for us, and after we were finished, he's like, "Okay, you guys want to do the dishes?"
Oh man!
I was like, "I guess."
You guys, there were more people.
Yeah, there was someone else there, but I was doing this dude's dish. I was too young to realize this is like a weird thing to be doing.
You're like, boy, I love the video games industry.
Yeah, it was like
doing this guy's dishes,
doing this guy's chores. Like this isn't
living
right.
my dream.
There was just like serious, like weird things going on, and he bought like a new laptop and all this other stuff. And I was like, well, I guess he's just got a lot of money. He lived in a nice place. So we kept hitting roadblocks. What was meant to be a 2-month project became like an 8-month project.
Oh, wow.
And there were like serious management issues. And someone who had initially secured investment money for this project, like the guy who secured the funding for this project, was like getting real iffy about what was going wrong in this project. So there's just a lot of stuff going wrong. And so he started like trying to manage the project, and he actually got things sort of on a good track, but weird, bizarre shit kept happening. For example, at that time, I think Blizzard had put out an art book or something, and so one of the employees had slipped a passage into the art book that was like religious in nature and didn't tell anyone, and that guy was like let go.
Oh man!
As a result, because it's just kind of not really a thing you do. And so Hero hired this guy to work on this project, and then took him to a meeting at Blizzard.
Oh,
God. Like, hey, you remember that guy you fired? Here he is again. Now he works for us. You still have to interact with him.
Jeez.
Awkward. And I remember overhearing a conversation. So the amount of money secured for this project was somewhere in the vicinity of about $500,000, which is quite a lot of money.
How many people were involved? Just the orchestra?
There was an orchestra. There was like an arranger, a producer, conductor, myself, a couple people building a website, an artist, graphic designer. I think so. A fair number of people, and then like obviously the thing has to be manufactured and distributed and all this other stuff. But like the costs kept getting higher and higher and higher, and this guy kept making purchases. Like he bought during that time something in the vicinity of like 6 laptops for himself. Like he bought like a Razer gaming laptop and like a different laptop for work. And
but you're just thinking like,
I'm like,
he's using his personal money.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, sure, but where did that personal money come from? I still don't know. And then I overheard something about him paying. Apparently, he had they used to do these live concerts in Sydney, and apparently, a lot of the musicians he tried to contact were not coming back for this album because they hadn't been paid for their previous gigs.
Oh wow!
So he decided to pay them for their previous gigs as well as like this one out of the money that was meant for this like album.
Yeah,
this is my understanding.
Was that just was that not related to him that they hadn't been paid before?
No, it was related to him.
Oh, okay.
He was running the orchestra.
Oh, okay.
He just like didn't earn back the money or whatever
Right.
cover costs, or whatever. I don't really know what happened, but
Yeah.
so
he didn't
my
pay-
understanding of things was that they weren't paid for previous gigs,
Yeah.
and that he was paying off their he's paying off their old debts with
Right.
with this new money. And a disclaimer: this is all my understanding of things. Anyway, this project gets stretched on and on. There's all these like big expensive, like they're flying to Japan to meet with like the CD producers. He wants to get these things printed at like Sony Music because they have the highest quality, whatever. And the product does look good. It's way too expensive, and like it ended up costing like $50 or $60, or possibly more. And it's a 3 CD album, but that's like a lot of money for an album.
To manufacture the thing, it's $50.
And no, to buy it for $50 or $60 US,
Okay.
which is quite a lot. It might have even been more than
Dude,
that.
if it's 50 US, like what is that in New Zealand? Like that's too much for an album.
Right. It is. So like it wasn't that popular. Not that many copies got bought.
Right, yeah.
And like the guy didn't really like earn the money back, but he also didn't pay his like investors anything. So anyway,
Oh boy.
it was a huge mess.
Yeah.
I by the time the thing was over, I was just like trying to stay out of it.
But a product got made and sold.
and sold, and
Yeah.
I got a copy of it, and
Yeah.
like it looks cool. I was one of the few people that actually got paid from the
Oh
project.
wow.
Nice.
That's probably because you're the cheapest.
Yeah, probably.
Some 19-year-old dude
Yeah.
just doing someone's dishes. Here you go.
Yeah.
Here's $20.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so lawsuits start happening.
Oh shit.
The hero moves to Japan to like avoid the whole thing. I think he might have even been extradited. I
Oh
don't
my
really
God.
remember. The 2013 rolls around, and so the guy who had like secured the funding for this project, he and I sort of became friends.
Yeah.
Because he liked my writing, and he liked also complaining about the project that you needed someone to vent to that was involved in the project. And I
Bonded
happened to
over
be,
trauma.
yeah, I happened to be like a comfortable venting host, basically. And so I got to hear all sorts of crazy stories. And he so 2013 rolls around. He sends me this message with he's like, what the hell? And it's a link to a Kickstarter for a game called Project Phoenix. You may have heard of this. It earned somewhere over $1 million, which at 2013 was quite a lot of money. Fully funded. It was going to have a soundtrack by Nobuo Uematsu, who is like the Final Fantasy music composer for tons and tons of games. Some other like famous in the games industry names were connected to like I think character design, and he said he was going to get they hadn't announced who the programmer was. He always wanted to make these big announcements. That was a weird thing. He was always like, "We'll announce. It's a big announcement, the special guests and all this stuff. Like it's going to be a big deal." He said he was going to announce who the programmer for this project was.
Realistically, though, how many programmers would you be excited by if they announced it?
What, programmers?
Like John Carmack and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like I
two
said,
people.
that's exactly my point. Is like no one, even if the game you work on is really good, you can be a great programmer unless you've like broken ground.
Yeah.
Programmatically, like made a huge.
It would always have to be like this person, and then in brackets who worked on this.
Yes,
you know?
well,
and then you're like,
exactly,
oh, it's that guy.
Right. That's exactly what it turned out to be.
Yeah.
I think I don't remember. It was either Ori and the Blind Forest or like Limbo or something.
Right.
That's
This
good.
guy, yeah.
Ori and the Blind Forest was quite recent, so
It might not have been out.
Limbo was probably like 2011, so it could have been someone.
Yeah, I don't
on that
fully
then?
remember what it was, but it was something of that ilk. And this guy he said like Hero had said he was going to be on board, and so they were waiting for him to get on board before they make the game or whatever. And they had put out like a terrible alpha in like 2014 2014, I think. That was like everyone involved in the Kickstarter was like, this sucks. Like, hopefully, but it's alpha, so it'll get better. But around like, I think it was last year, they announced, we still haven't got that programmer, so we're gonna look for a different one.
Oh,
this is the game I think was meant to have come out at this point.
Yep.
And he said there was like 80% of the funding left, but so it's fine. The game will come out, but we're looking for a programmer.
Have there been any, like in this time, have there been any continual updates since that alpha?
Yes, they would post little things like concept art or like or how
screenshots of the game,
stuff that was happening in the office or whatever. I don't know if there were screenshots,
because I mean that's the stuff that backers care about. It's like the game, not like what fun your office is,
right? But I distinctly remember reading a post where they bought a really expensive table for their office.
Yeah, that's not a good. I don't think that's a good thing.
I was like, why? Why
I mean, I don't think you should tell people who look what your money has. Look what we're spending your money on. This really nice table.
Wait,
you wanted a game? No, not a table.
Was that guy's reputation not hurt in any way after the soundtrack?
I don't know. Not really. I guess not.
It may not have been hurt in the consumer's eyes,
right.
In the people that would fund a Kickstarter.
Right.
This guy. But anyone that was worked with him, I'd probably be like, no, don't work with him.
Yes, no, and no one wanted to work with him again.
Yeah.
Right.
The very, very few people wanted to work with him again. Plus, all who's now in Japan as opposed to Australia. So I mean, I don't think he had an online reputation because people don't really like to badmouth, with the exception of this right now.
Yeah, this is it. This is yep.
But this is going to become relevant.
Okay.
So anyway, he makes this Kickstarter, gets this huge amount of funding. Game never materializes. They didn't even really bother to look for a programmer for like 2 or 3 years, which is just completely insane.
Well, they spent all that time looking for a sweet table.
Yeah.
You got to get your priorities straight. What are the programmers going to work on? The floor?
So, at some point, someone started posting in the comments of their Kickstarter updates about a different game called Tiny Metal, which was by a different development studio, which then, as it turns out, was the same guy who had been, as far as we can tell, using money from that initial Kickstarter to now develop this other game that Kickstarter backers had not known about or backed.
Not the thing that they backed.
And he was saying we've got different funding for this game, and we're going to use the profits from making this game to make the one you backed, which is completely insane.
Yep.
Now, about sometime last week, Kotaku posted an article where the PR person for this Tiny Metal or possibly Project Phoenix game, whichever one of them it was, posted that he had been using Kickstarter money to develop this other game in secret and lying about where he got this money and saying that Sony had given him money and all this other stuff, and that it was all lies and that he wasn't going to do it. Hero had told this PR guy to tell people this stuff and that he just wasn't going to do it and he didn't want to be involved in the project anymore. This is the PR person posting on their Twitter.
Whoa.
Just completely blowing up their spot.
Holy shit.
And then that post was deleted and Hero posted that this guy had been sexually harassing people in the office and that he shouldn't he was let go for unrelated reasons or something dumb. Which, by the way, knowing Hero sounds like a complete fabrication.
It's pretty hot right now.
Huh?
The whole.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. It is a hot button topic.
Oh, we were talking about Kevin Spacey earlier, so
I think he is very aware of that, and he was doing that.
He's just grasping at straws at this point.
Yes, he really is. And it's unbelievable to me that this guy can keep getting money to do these things, and that he's
he seems very connected.
He is a bad person.
Yeah.
Anyway,
is he a charismatic person?
I didn't think so.
Okay.
I get the feeling he is.
But
yeah.
He carried himself like he was better than you all the time.
Right.
Yeah,
But
he was
as
very good.
as 19-year-old you thought like this guy must be better than me. Then he knows this
As
guy
you're
knows
washing
what he's
dishes,
doing.
Did you get that
Sort of.
impression?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I know he's 29. I was 19 at the time.
And you're
29 now. I'm thinking, oh, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's sort of, I'll just sort of follow the flow of things.
Yeah.
He's got 6 laptops. I've got to listen to this guy.
Yeah.
I don't even have one laptop.
Yeah. Dude, I think at 19 that's the perfect age for just like accepting like that adults know more than you, because I definitely was at that age when I was like, yeah, this person must know more than me. Like it must,
Right.
they must. They're
Yeah,
like,
it's about mid-20s when you start figuring stuff out.
yeah.
And up to that point, my main work had been freelancing from home, not exactly a huge professional gig, and like working in a call center.
Right.
Like, this was like a much bigger project with money and like a big company involved and all this other stuff. So I was like, well, obviously people know what they're doing and it's all above board. It was definitely not all above board. People did not know what they were doing.
Ooh. I think this hero guy knew exactly what he was doing there.
I think he justified all of his actions. Anyway, you guys should, this whole thing is just like an amazing saga.
Is this Project Phoenix still going?
Technically, yes. He's keeping up this like weird like lie that like, oh no, we're still totally working on this game.
Do you know when the last update on the Kickstarter page was?
I'm sure we can find it.
Yeah.
Google Project Phoenix, Google Tiny Metal. The whole thing is such a mess. And this person is just so awful.
Yeah, pathological lie.
Yeah, he
This
really
guy
is.
needs to be blacklisted.
So here's my theory is because I've heard him play violin. He's a very good violin player.
Yeah.
Oh,
And my theory is he garnered a lot of respect for his violin playing, his musical talent. And he just sort of assumed that he was as good at everything as he was at violin,
Right.
without really having any training or having any evidence to prove this, or like he's just like, I know how to run a business.
just imagine-
it's easy. It's like playing violin.
I just imagine anytime anybody questions him about anything, he just whips out a violin and they're
Yeah,
like,
they're like, no,
he
yeah,
knows.
I
He
get
knows
it.
what
Yeah,
he's doing.
oh no, you know what you're doing. It
that's
was
kind of hilarious.
truly like, man, it's just an ongoing saga. The guy who he every so often he sends me like a link to like some new article on like Kotaku or whatever, or like the newest update where he's just doing something completely insane. I just can't conceive of how this guy is fine with all of this stuff happening.
Is
Doing all this stuff, it's so awful.
people speaking out about this hero guy?
I am right now.
But are other people
Whistleblower.
doing it? Is Kotaku doing this?
Yeah, they posted some articles. I don't know if it's specific about Hero. By the way, if anybody's listening to this, Kotaku or whatever, and you want to talk to me about it, I'm totally happy to talk about this. It was
Email.
Yeah.
From
We'll get to your email in like a year.
we've got our newswire front seat questions at gmail.com. You can tweet our news Twitter
Oh
at
man,
front seat cast.
the guy sounds like a piece of shit.
Oh, he really was. Man, looking back, I'm like, I don't. What was crazy was some of the people who followed him onto future projects. I feel really bad for them, and I'm like, I wonder if they're just like stuck in a bubble, like they don't
Maybe.
realize how sketchy this dude is.
Dude, that sort of thing happens in just the film industry as well. Like you hear these stories of, like, did you ever
People
hear?
being exploited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just like people having
absolutely. I know
people
some-
having weird control over things that like they really have no business having control over.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever hear what's his name? Kevin Smith's story about his work on
Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West and Superman, and
Yeah,
how that
the giant
Wild Wild
robot
West,
spider.
and how that's connected
Of course.
to Wild West. Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's all because of this one producer guy
Yeah.
that has no business kind of like making the calls that he's making.
Right. Yep. I know exactly the
Yeah.
story you're talking about. Yeah, very similar. And honestly, a lot of the decisions this guy was making, even at the time, I was like, that doesn't seem like a great idea. But what do I know? I'm
Yeah.
19.
And then he's like, well, you say that, but what about, and then pulls out a violin, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, this is great.
Now, I do want to say, obviously, I work for a competitor of Blizzard, and I worked on this Blizzard project. Blizzard throughout this whole thing were totally like reasonable, and I have nothing but good things to say about them from throughout that project. However, like the weird stuff that they endured as a result, like firing this guy, and then Hero hiring that guy to be their like representative at Blizzard. Like, what was he thinking? What was even more amazing, after this like CD didn't sell well, they had like, I want to say like 18,000 copies or something left out of a 20,000 printing or something like that.
Oh,
and he's like, oh, yeah, they're not selling because it's too expensive. Nobody wants to pay. I think maybe it was like $80 or whatever it was. It was too much. He's like, nobody wants to pay for this thing, so I'll make a cheaper version as well. And so then he spent the money that from the sales to get like a cheaper version of it printed. No, what are you doing? Just sell the versions you have.
Yeah.
It's like so.
No,
drop the price.
But those ones were pressed at the Sony headquarters or something on the good CDs.
Man, oh man.
This is classic sunk cost. He's doubled down it.
I don't know that it is sunk cost as much as
so?
just like, I don't think he knows how to
instead
run
of
it.
wouldn't he just be like, all right, we're gonna have to lower the price. We're gonna have to just like
you
take your losses.
Price.
take a loss, I guess, rather than like, all right, we're gonna take these little profits we did make and make cheaper CDs that will sell at a cheaper cost.
Completely insane. Briefly, the CDs were sold in like EB Games in Australia.
Yeah,
like no one bought them.
Oh man,
because I don't think they were even stocked on shelves. They were just in the back room.
Even with that exclusive Diablo 3 opening.
Yeah.
They also got like Ko Otani, who I think did Shadow of the Colossus soundtrack. He was like involved in like a Diablo inspired track on the album. The album is good. Like, it's good music.
Yeah.
And the actual like packaging, my writing, for example.
Oh, yep. Whoa.
Just exceptional.
Is it still good? Your writing?
So what's funny, okay, I wrote like man, this is embarrassing. I wrote like back then, I wrote like a 3,000 word, basically a short story where I tried to weave the album into the mythos of Warcraft.
And that was going to go on the back of the CD?
It was meant to go in the booklet. Like,
okay.
It's something to read while you're listening to the music and enjoying whatever. And completely understandably, Blizzard was like, yeah, no. Ooh. Like we can't imply that like there are CDs in Warcraft. Right. You can't. That doesn't make any sense. And all this other stuff. And I was like, yep, nope, that all makes sense.
In Magic though.
At the time, I was disappointed. Yeah, right. Magic discs.
Magic discs.
At the time, I was like bummed.
Yeah,
but it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Now being that guy at GGG who has like, no, we have to keep the lore.
If a 19-year-old kid came to you and said, yeah, so
there's like CDs in Path of Exile, right? No, there aren't. So instead I wrote a 10,000 word
holy shit
story about the recording of the album where I play I'm the narrator and I'm just ignorant of the whole process.
Oh man.
It's pretty entertaining read. It's but embarrassing also at the same time.
How do you paint Hero in this booklet?
Neutral. I try to paint myself as an idiot and paint him in a neutral light, and then I think I painted some other people in a pretty good light. Like there's like the Blizzard composer was there, and he's a super nice guy. I remember saying something embarrassing in that thing that he took offense to, understandably, but I didn't mean it that way. If you're out there, Russell Brower, I'm very sorry. Wasn't intended. Super super chill guy. Anyway.
Oh man, I want to know what you said.
I'll tell you after the podcast. Anyway, man, oh man, I'm just amazed that it's ongoing, and I think it's just a matter of time until he like legitimately defrauds people and goes to prison, and I'm just super stoked for when that happens.
Yeah, I'm hoping prison happens to this guy.
He will not deal with prison well. He's like
no violence.
Well, just picture someone.
Is he a pretty boy?
He is a pretty boy. He is a pretty boy. And I found this out because a girl I was like super into was like, he's hot. And I was like, ah. But no, he's also the worst person I think I've ever met.
Oh man. This what was this other game like Tiny Metal?
Tiny Metal.
How similar is it to Project Phoenix?
Not at all.
So it's a completely different game.
It's described as he posting in under a fake account in a comment section of an update for the different game. He called it like Nintendo's Advance Wars mixed with Metal Slug, and you can tell it's him because he's like keeping all the branding. Like,
I was gonna say, how can you tell it's him?
Because he writes Tiny Metal in all caps, for example, which is how the name is stylized.
Yeah,
which you wouldn't do unless you were like invested in it being stylized that way.
And he probably teased like a programmer, just just for marketing.
yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, we should, if we think of it, we should post some links to interesting components of this story. I'm just like, now that I'm sitting on the sidelines at this point, watching it all just sort of fall apart from a distance. But having been involved in that, I feel really bad for everyone else involved in the project. Because you sign on for this project, it all sounds above board. There's real money involved. There are like talented people involved, but the guy running it is a total piece of shit, and there's nothing you can really do about that. And once all you can really do is like quit, and then you just don't get paid or whatever, because it's all contracts and stuff. Yeah. It's so sketch. So I feel really bad for the people involved, and the people involved in the Kickstarter.
Yeah, the Kickstarter as well. Like people put money into this thing that they're not getting.
Yeah, this is
and then to find out that they're getting something else.
Yeah.
That they didn't want.
They're not even getting that, though. That's the thing.
Well, I guess they're not getting it, but it's their money is going towards...
Their money is going towards a product else. They didn't make.
Yeah. They don't worry because
they didn't even get the product they paid for, which is completely insane.
But what was he saying? The profits of this other game will go towards...
Yeah, no, it'll totally pay for that one. It'll totally pay for Project Phoenix. That totally makes sense. That'll happen.
Oh, man.
Except that... They were going to buy like fancy chairs and stuff.
The $1 million that they raised wasn't enough to go towards this, but it was enough to go towards this other game, which will raise more than $1 million.
It's so insane. Oh man!
Now the real question is, what happened to this table?
Yeah,
I assume it's still just a nice table.
Yeah,
yeah,
fucking great.
Also, I'll try and find that update about the table. I feel like there was even a photo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, man.
And I remember reading comments in there being like, "Why are you doing this?
Yep.
Like, why? Send us the game we paid for it." Oh man, and there's some very big names involved in this, and that's the thing. There's always big names because he's a schmoozer. He schmoozes into like people's. It's like, oh yeah, no, it's all above board. We've got $1 million. We'll pay you for it, and it's gonna be great. And they're like, okay, sure, I'll be involved. And then of course it all goes down the drain, and everyone's sad.
It's weird.
Anyway,
this
story.
What I'll say is it ruins it for people like me. Like I'd never get into a Kickstarter unless I knew these people were starting it.
Yeah.
And it sucks because if I wanted to start a Kickstarter, I'd hate to have people think that of me.
Yeah.
It tarnishes people that you don't know.
I think it's so important to show the product is as part of the Kickstarter. This is why I don't like early releases or whatever it's called,
We've definitely talked about like Kickstarter stuff on the podcast before and how like some people are just like, oh, I've got a great idea for a game.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, a WoW killer and it's going to do all this and do all that and they have nothing to show and they're just asking for like, $1 million or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, most of the time those things don't get funded.
Yeah, most of the time they don't. But if you can at least say someone important is somehow attached or maybe attached, then you could raise...
like $1 million.
$1 million, yeah.
Yeah, and it's depressing because like, at least with other Kickstarter failures, you can point to like there's a pretty clear cut like, oh well, this guy's defrauded them and whatever, or the game just they ran out of money or whatever.
There was that.
In this case, it's like he's actively trying to keep up this ruse.
Yeah,
like 3 or 4 years after the fact. It's just
to keep it going.
Yeah, just stop. Stop, man. Hero, if you're out there, just stop. Just don't be involved in the games industry anymore. You're making it bad.
Oh, what if he does another Kickstarter round?
If it happens, I will aggressively very aggressively get the word out to not fund this because he is just a piece of shit. I don't like swearing on this podcast, but that guy's a real piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't know this guy, but he's ruined violinists for me.
Yeah, right?
I'll tell you that much.
What's bad is I really liked the music and I can't listen to it anymore.
Yeah,
man,
because I just get cringing feelings, cringing sensations.
You mean just the that album or just like his music in general?
Just him.
Okay.
It just brings up memories of like This dude,
Right.
he's just the worst.
Oh man,
It's hard to describe how bad he is. He's like, okay, do either of you watch The Good Place?
No, you keep telling me to watch The Good Place.
Okay,
No.
well, you both need to watch The Good Place, and if you're listening out there, you need to watch The Good Place. But if you watch The Good Place, this guy is basically male Tahani Al-Jamil, which if you watch The Good Place, you'll know what that means. But like worse, like a significantly worse person than Tahani, and Tahani's not great. So people will know what I'm talking about.
All right.
I have faith.
His thing of like wanting, I don't know. There was a part in that story where he kind of reminded me of when Steve Jobs left Apple and started that Next company, and for like this really.
Because Steve Jobs didn't pay anyone at Apple.
Well, no, I mean they forced him out, but like he started this company as he was like it was going to be like this PC was going to have like the best of everything, and spent like $100,000 on just the logo alone, and like got all the best parts and stuff like that. But then and it was like a pretty decent PC, but the cost to actually buy one because of all this like craft put into it, it was like way higher, and it failed because like no one could afford the damn thing, which is exactly like this album that's like it might have had like pressed at the he's talking about like pressed at the Sony place in Japan because of like the quality,
they have the best manufacturing quality.
Yeah, which is completely not necessary.
Yeah.
And it just inflates the cost of the
keeping in mind
at the end.
Like we were based in Australia.
Yeah.
You could have gone to
just
China.
Shipping alone is like what the
Indonesia.
hell?
Yeah. There's so many places you could have done. He goes to like the most expensive place.
Yeah.
And like it was always the case. He always needed it to be like, we'll get the top quality person to do this, and they're the best. And
which is like
very Trumpist mentality. If you know what I mean, like
marketing,
huh?
Yeah.
But
you got that marketing thing?
Yeah, like it's the best steaks, like,
right.
put them in a bag.
But then like I think there's something good in that, being like wanting to get the best stuff, but then like also realizing that it is just
business.
You need to sell it at a decent price for people to buy it.
Yeah, I remember like the guy who funded this was just almost every night I'd get a call from him going, "You won't believe what he did."
Oh man,
like he took someone to this meeting and like it was like, and now he's saying he's gonna double the price. And
oh my god,
it's just like he was getting more and more stressed out. The guy who organized all this he never saw a dime.
What?
He never saw a dime. His investors, I don't think, ever saw any money.
That's shocking.
It was.
This guy should be spreading the.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
The word on Hero.
Well, so that's the thing. I was talking to him today, in fact.
Yeah.
Because there was just more stuff he was showing me. Just because it's always ongoing.
It's also a story that like if you just tell someone, it just sounds like you're bitter about this experience, and you can't really get across how bad this person is.
It's true. And that's the thing I'm facing now is like. I know right now what I sound like is, I had a bad work experience.
Yeah.
But really, it's like, this dude is really shitty.
Because, dude, we all have friends who, like, just talk about their boss being the worst, and then they're like, they'll get another job, and their boss, that boss is just the worst or something.
Yeah.
And you're just like, look, man, I think it might be you in this situation. So people get used to hearing those kind of things and being like, is this person really that bad?
Yeah.
But then if enough like people like yourself and like other known people in the industry that have dealt with him saying the same thing, then it's like, this guy is no good.
He would try to get people to do like his personal chores and stuff for him all the time.
Well, he did. I mean, you did the dishes.
Not even like worse stuff than that. I feel like someone did his laundry one time or something.
I don't like this.
Did his laundry?
Yeah, I feel like that
I don't
happened.
like this at all.
He's a smart dude, man.
He's just real.
He knows how to get a bug. But what I hate from it is that he obviously used his talent, this violin, this musical talent, to open doors, and he exploited little guys.
So I also wonder, like, how much of it is he doesn't realize his own limitations, and how much of it is him, like, just aggressively and maliciously doing the things that benefit him at the cost of other people's lives.
I would. These kind of people, like, I wish you could, like, hook their heads up to a machine and, like,
brain scan them.
Yeah, and be like, how are you justifying this yourself? What is the story you're telling yourself in your head that allows you to just rip people off?
Yeah, because he's like the the good guy.
Yeah, in his head, there's no way he's like, yeah, I'm ripping this guy off. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be great. He will somehow be a victim in his head.
There's a justification going on.
Yeah, what's his justification? Like, it's. I find that kind of thing like fascinating to think about. Like,
I think I always think people like this need to get I call it checked. And it's a thing of like
you're doing air quotes.
He needs to learn his lesson somehow, and I think prison is obviously the one.
Yeah,
just like some kind of authority.
Will he though, or is he the type of person that's just like,
oh, I should have done it this way.
Like, oh, it's I'm just a victim of whatever. Then it's all false charges and blah blah blah, and just like I shouldn't be in prison anyway. Like the story he tells to himself might be so strong that even prison might not like wake him up.
I wonder because I mean, like consider this. He's 10 years ago, he does this project. 9 years ago, whatever it was, he does this project. It's a huge failure, massive failure, and all because of him. Like the other guy managed to salvage the project to some degree and get a product out.
Yeah,
I don't think we would have even seen a product if this dude hadn't stepped in. And by the way, his sole job was meant to be acquire investor money. That's it, and he did it. He wasn't meant to manage. Everyone working on the project. He just ultimately had to because Hero wasn't. So already one huge flop of a project. He does this Kickstarter, which is 3 years deep, nothing to show for it. Huge flop. He's doing a third project. How is he telling himself, yes, I'm good at this. I'll get it done. No, you're not. Stop.
Like he's officially announced.
Go play violin. You're fine at that. It's fine. You don't need to do everything.
Has he officially gone in on the tiny metal thing?
I feel like he has. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll have to I'll show you all the stuff that we found. It's crazy. Oh man.
I guess spread the word, fellas. Whoever's listening.
Yeah, for reals. And Google Hero Yura, HIROYURA. You'll find tons of stuff now at this point. It's just,
and I guess
it's blowing up. I'm so happy.
If you're in a, sorry, I was just gonna say, like, if you're getting into a Kickstarter, do your damn research.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too. If you go into a Kickstarter, maybe Google the name of the main person and see what the internet has to say about this person.
Yeah, and shell companies exist, so I don't know. Investigating is a thing.
It's really great. He has a Wikipedia page. You can tell he wrote it himself because I remember his writing style. I had to fix up a lot of his writing.
Yep.
Hero such and such is such a great guy.
Yeah, it really is. An exceptional talent. Okay. Anyway, all right. That's my rant.
It's a good story, dude. Yeah, good story. You delivered.
It's I forget how long I've been sort of on the fringe of the game industry. Yeah.
That's such a like doing that at 19, right? Like how long? I mean, you said even during you were like, oh, this seems a little weird. But how long until after you were like, no, that was definitely not how things go, and that's definitely not how things should work in any industry.
I think by the end of the project, which by that stage had probably been close to a year, instead of the 2 months, I was like, yeah, this is a huge mess.
Yeah,
because I heard about how few sales there were. I heard all these crazy stories about him traveling to places and doing these totally irresponsible things, not just with money, but to the people involved in the project. And it was. I remember at that point, by the end of the project, I was trying to avoid talking to him whenever I could.
Yeah.
And when I did talk to him, I would just let him talk, and I would just be like, "Yep, sure," and not contribute as much as possible, so that I wasn't involved anymore. I could. It was just slowly trying to pull back. I remember, by the time he wanted me to keep doing post release coverage. I remember that he was like, "Okay, and I want you to do a post every week for the 2 months after the album comes out." And I'm like, "About what? There's nothing happening. What do I write about?" Yep, people still aren't buying the album. Cool. And when I told him I'd been, this was going to be a 2 month project. It's been a year. And you want me to keep going? No, I'll just take my money and go, please.
Yeah.
I hope. Oh man, yeah. And you went right into games journalism after this.
Right? Yeah, not
you
long
like
after.
a hot scoop.
It was probably a good 8 months or maybe even almost a year.
Yeah, and you were just hanging on to this. You knew all this kind of stuff was going to come out.
Well, the thing is, like at that point, it was just like one project, and that can be an anomaly. Any project can go bad, but when it's like when you're in your third or whatever, like actually, I found out later there had been like with people who not getting paid for their previous orchestra stuff. Obviously, this has been like a long-standing trend of him screwing people over.
See, I don't know how you can even in your head justify not paying people for
because he then
doing
paid
their
them
job.
later, just with
but
someone
he was
else's
not.
money.
It sounded like if this project hadn't happened, it sounds like he would have just not paid them.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't have.
Yeah,
but
it's like how is he like? I don't get that.
Is he that good on a violin? Is that the
good.
thing?
He's pretty good.
Do you know what I mean?
He's pretty
I
good.
paid you in my music.
Yeah. You don't understand how much I charge for this, Nick.
Look, I may not have touched your wallet, but I touched your heart.
Yeah. In a way, you owe me.
Yeah. And what is truly more valuable? The money. I want the money.
I get the feeling he's the kind of guy who's like, "Do you know who I am?"
Oh shit.
Like,
yeah, there was a little bit of that.
God,
Yeah, he's like, I came second in a competition in China. I was like, okay. I played for the president of China. All right,
shit.
that's cool. He still ran this project into the ground.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Man,
check him out.
Good stuff.
And I'll be following this pretty closely just because it's fascinating.
Yeah, maybe on the next episode you'll have a
Maybe I'll have an update.
hot scoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in all your journalism career, did you ever write anything about this?
No, because I feel like you can't be objective
Right.
when you're one of the subjects. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm clearly going to be biased.
Yeah.
I have opinions about this.
Yeah.
And also, it's just that while I was a journalist, that was just the one project.
Yeah.
By the time I had quit, that's when he started doing this Kickstarter,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like, oh boy. And I felt like maybe I could say something,
But now, if
but
like,
maybe this would be there's different people involved. Like there were big names involved. Maybe someone would actually manage the project instead of him, and it would be fine.
Yeah.
But no.
But now that Kotaku wrote this thing, if another journalist approached you,
Oh yeah,
you'd be fine with.
Yeah, they can
Yeah.
ask me whatever questions they want, and I'll answer them. Just because, like, honestly, at this point, it's entertaining to me to watch, like, his world come unraveled.
Yeah.
It sounds really mean, but man, this guy was a jerk, real jerk. It's hard to describe.
And he hasn't learned his lesson.
No, he
You
hasn't.
know, he's still out there scamming people.
I really
Yeah.
think that like people like this seem to just somehow continue doing what they're doing with like, like he'll if this thing falls apart, he'll disappear for a little while, but then a little while later he'll come back with a new Kickstarter or a new thing. Like I don't think he's gonna ever.
I think he understands how to he understands how to pitch an idea. He understands how to like sell. He sells the idea, and then he doesn't understand how to follow through.
No.
And like how to sell a product.
That's
in
when
that
a smart
business.
person would actually have people to work with who can follow through. You know, it would be like,
But yeah,
but
it comes back to his ineptitude about like I don't think he knows where his limits are. I don't think he understands where his actual skill sets are, and he thinks he can manage and he just can't. Yep.
Yeah, he's got to stay in his lane.
Yeah.
Man, he's ruining for
No,
us game
genuinely.
developers.
Yeah, for reals. He thinks he can be a game developer. Clearly, he can't. Like that's ultimately what it comes down to. Is
Yep, and he's obviously got no imagination going for like accusing the other guy of sexual harassment or whatever. Like he's just going for buzzwords right
honestly, yeah, that does feel like a fabrication. I remember he like fabricated stories about some of the other people on the project I worked.
see, that's just
Yeah, it's gross.
what is he doing?
It's really gross. Super gross.
God.
Yep.
It's a cool story, man.
Thanks.
now. Yeah. I need to see more about this guy.
Yeah, well, I'll show
just-
you after the podcast. Anyway, we're out of time pretty much. So, if you've got any questions, if you've ever experienced, if you were a part of these Kickstarters or anything, email us at frenzyquestions@gmail.com or tweet at us at frenzycast or contact us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/frenzycast. Blake looks like he wants to say something.
No.
No, okay, never mind.
I just
So
have
Vern.
that face. I just
Yeah,
have
yeah,
one
yeah.
of those faces that
Yeah, one of those faces you just always look like.
The
you're
about to talk
They
face.
just
Yep. I'll try and describe it. His mouth was a little bit open and he's making eye contact like he's about to say something. There you go. We'll post a photo. No, we won't post a photo. Frontseatgamer.wordpress.com is our WordPress site. You can comment on there, and we read them and comment. And youtube.com/frontseatcast is our YouTube page. We get emails, and we love getting emails from you guys. We love hearing from you guys. We really appreciate when you review us on iTunes and stuff. We don't always reply to your emails, but we try to. And we don't always read out your questions and emails, but we do read them all. And we try to reply to you on the various outlets when we see you.
We often hold on to good questions that like us three just can't answer, but we hold on to them for when we have a guest that actually can.
Yeah,
like there's been like a question in there that is like great for Rory or one of the boss designers that we've just been holding on for like half a year or something.
Yeah. We'll see if we can get someone on to answer some of these at some point. That's all. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, we're heading into the Christmas season, fellas. How many episodes we got left until the year's out?
I'm not sure.
Do we know?
Don't know. But we are doing a D&D podcast at some point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be DMing. Severn, I don't know.
Direct messaging.
Yep.
I'll I'm open.
Okay. Cool. I've got some ideas.
Yeah.
Blake will be involved. We might be getting Ed back.
Ooh.
And we might have a couple girls on. Females on the podcast.
Oh
Crazy, right?
What?
And they might, because they've been getting into the D&D as well. It'll be fun. So look forward to that. And we'll be back in a couple weeks.
All right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Bye.
He says, how does GGG and us guys especially feel about the reception of 3.0? And was there a big celebration because of it? And I think we've kind of answered that just through talking, but also everything looks amazing, and all the Nick haters are a bunch of whiny brats. I'm surprised you haven't read that.
I saw that. But, but I'm not going to read that out.
Because it's praising you.
Yeah, it seems weird to be like, cherry picking compliments. That's right. They are a bunch of whiny brats. No, I'm not going to do that.
I like there's a paranormal podcast I listen to, a radio show, and this dude.
Hang on. Let's not brush past this. You listen to paranormal podcasts?
Yeah, several of them. I subscribe to one. I pay real money to get like extra content.
No.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's good.
Good in what sense?
Entertainment.
I guess.
Yeah. No, it's good. I really like it.
Is it fiction? I mean, does it purport itself to be fiction, or does it portray itself as fact?
It doesn't portray itself as anything. It just portrays itself as like, this is some crazy shit. Listen to it.